Hi there YouTube, this is the Magnus bringing you another Total War Warhammer online ladder battle. Today I decided to play as the Dwarfs against an opponent who chose the vampire counts. Let's go ahead and take a look at my composition here. My front line is staggered between dwarf warriors and dwarf warriors with great weapons, so 4 and 3 respectively. Behind that I have 2 units of thunderers. I have 2 longbeards out on the flanks. I have the grumbling guard, the warriors of Dragonfire Pass, 1 bolt thrower, a runesmith, a thane, and Thorgrim Grudgebearer. Now the bolt thrower I'm not a big fan of, I gotta say. It has limited range, the damage isn't that great. Just a lot about it that doesn't really turn me on. But it can be useful as far as drawing opponents to you or doing damage against opponents who are unlikely to be able to get a hold of it anytime soon. So that's why I decided to bring it. Let's take a look at my opponent's build here as the vampire counts. Up front he has 4 skeletal warriors. Behind them he has Graveguard with great weapons times 3. He also has the Sternsman and 2 of the Crypt Horrors, 1 skeletal spearman, a corpse cart of the unholy lodestone, and the Strigoi Gold King on foot. And then out on his flank he has a White King and 1 unit of Blood Knights. So let's go ahead and watch and see how this goes. So I'm going to target my bolt thrower as soon as possible at his corpse cart. It's a big target and performs a pretty darn useful function for the whole of the vampire army. Not as good as, say, a Mortis engine, but still something that affects his army as a whole, so we're going to want to try and take that out. And otherwise I may target the Blood Knights, but since he has them so far out and he's likely going to do one of these for the time being, it made more sense to fire at the corpse cart. But you're going to notice it does very little damage to the corpse cart, which is rather unfortunate. Had I any other kind of artillery, look at this. He's so stacked up, it would do great damage, but unfortunately that's just not the case right now. So I'm going to mix it up, and I'm actually going to shoot at some of the Crypt Horrors for a little bit as well. But basically this thing is barely going to be able to outpace the regeneration here in the beginning. As you can see, again, very little damage. Not impressed. I wanted to try it out. I wasn't impressed with it before, and I still feel that way. But you can see I built a little new box, and this is really just because I want to lure him in, which the bolt thrower and the thunderers are going to do, and only because he had this cavalry out on the end. If he just had this, I wouldn't box at all. I started off not boxed, but we got there. So, and we'll see what I do with that. So now my guns are starting to fire into his ranks, and I'm going to target the bolt thrower and the guns at the corpse cart here, as you're going to see, and see if we can't get rid of that thing early on. So you're going to see it starts to take very intense damage from all the gunfire. His cavalry is still motionless and way off to the edge, so it's not a concern. You're going to see some other units get hurt as the bullets travel over this way. You can see them ripping through some of his infantry and whatnot, the bolts as well, but it's hurting him quite badly. I'm going to charge with my front line, counter charge. The charge defense would work against the Crypt Horrors, but not the rest of the mess. So, and I have great weapons up here, so I wanted to use their charge as much as I could. And then the cart here is going to go down, all shot up, nowhere to go. Boom, dead. So that's the end of that. So that's a good advantage. He starts to activate his cav. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to start taking these infantry from the other side and putting them into the fight soon. Simply because I don't think I need all this just for this 1 cav unit. So I'm going to pull 2 units over this way, and the rest are going to get sent into the fight. On the front line, these Crypt Horrors here had gotten into my Thunderers. But Thunderers, with the buffs and whatnot, 44 melee attack, they're going to be able to hang in there a bit, and they've got Thorgrim helping out. And the Grumbling Guard's going to go in. And back here, I just kind of realign my shooty stuff so I can shoot at these Crypt Horrors, which is going to deal with them pretty darn quickly once we've got everybody shooting. You can see They're fresh out of leadership, and they're taking pretty serious casualties. So Crypt Horrors are a very good unit, but against something as sturdy as the Dwarfs, they really don't get a chance to shine, especially with missiles being fired at them. Over here, his Blood Knights have taken considerable damage, and they're only fighting Dwarf Warriors with great weapons and a unit of Longbeards. So that's a very effective trade for me if it can be done. So just having them attack them. My back line now is freed up, so I'm going to go ahead and send in my leaders to help out in the melee here. And that way the Thorgrim's buffs and area of effects, and the same for the Runesmith, will affect as much of my army as possible right there in the center. Now right now my guys are having trouble shooting the Blood Knights because they're so close to my own infantry, but from time to time they're going to get shots off, and that's good enough to help us, especially when he cycles. I want to be able to shoot him in the back of the head, as you see is happening to many of his guys, and they're going to die pretty quickly under those circumstances. Down in the pits, you can see a lot of his units are running out of leadership. The Dwarf Warriors and the Warriors of Dragonfire Pass on this flank are holding up great. In the center, I've got my leadership crew working on things, and then on the right side, just my Dwarf Warriors and Dwarfs with great weapons are doing quite well. So now his Blood Knights get into some of my missiles, but again, as soon as they pull out, they're going to have to pay for that, and it's going to be bolts and two Thunderers firing at them, and I'm going to use the Rune of Wrath and Ruin because I want to get rid of these guys completely. They're very disruptive and they have a lot of potential. As you see, he's going to hold them here, hoping he can get them to group back together. That's not going to happen as the bolts come in. Look at the size of that thing. So he's going to turn around. He's going to try to get one more charge out of his Blood Knights here, but they're dropping as they come in, and then boom, they're going to come into my Thunders, but they're going to be the ones that actually get shaken from that charge. Because again, my Thunders at 28 melee attack right now, 31 weapon strength, are going to do quite well, and they've got guns aimed down their throats, so as soon as they're done, they're done. Now I take my leadership corps group and start pushing it onto the Strigoi Gold King, because I feel he's in a relatively vulnerable position. Again, a lot of blinking lights on the red side, not on mine, so my leadership is holding quite well while his isn't, which is going to lead to casualties, and the balance bar is going to start to go in my favor. As you can see, there's no more Blood Knights, so I'm actually going to try to target some stuff with the White King, and then we're going to go, and now we're going to target the Strigoi Gold King and try to get in any shots that we can sneak through the mess here, with him being taller than my Dwarfs. We're going to get some shots in, and you're going to see his health starts to fall pretty darn quickly, and he's going to try to get out of there. Which he's going to have some success pulling through his own forces. But again here, look, if we watch this battle, just very little left health-wise and leadership-wise on his forces, whereas the Dwarfs are still raring to go. I love the model on these Warriors of Dragonfire Pass with the flaming axes. It just looks so cool, and they're very effective against the undead, obviously. So here he's going to charge his White King. He brought it all the way over from the flank into my missiles. So I still have some infantry chasing him. I'm going to turn my missiles to shoot at him, and I'm going to also pull back one missile unit so that the Thunders can really triangulate him. His Lord falls, the Strigoi Gold King. With him gone and the situation not being in their favor, very quickly the vampire army just starts to disappear. Even the White King can't resist and is returned to nothingness with an axe in the back of his head. So we get a close victory as the Dwarfs. I've been playing the Dwarfs a decent bit, and I've got to say, you know, they are definitely improved over where they were. You know, now that they have the Regiments of Renown and everything, and people are learning how to use them. I'm finding the Dwarfs, you know, better and better to play as and harder to play against. So let's take a look at the tail of the tape. The Dwarf Warriors did quite well. Great weapons not as well, but they were there for provide punch, not necessarily survivability. One Longbeard did nothing, one did well. The Warriors Dragonfire Pass did well. The Grumbling Guard did great, 105 kills. My Thunderers, while they didn't get a lot of kills, shot at a lot of premium targets, so I'm fine with that. And the Bolt Thrower got a chevron there, and I think it really helped against the Blood Knight, so I don't know. I'm still very much on the fence about this and leaning towards its crap. Looking at my opponent's army, the Skeletal Warriors got absolutely rocked, so did the Skeleton Spearmen. His Graveguard with great weapons did well, but not enough to return their money. Crypt Horrors underperformed. Blood Knights underperformed. So did the Sternsmen. His Corpse Cart got picked off early. The White King, the Strigoi, did fine. So good game to my opponent. Playing as the Vampires against the Dwarfs is really a tough matchup right now. As far as recommendations, Crypt Horrors might not be your best bet. I think Blood Knights bringing super expensive cavalry against an army that doesn't have cavalry, I just think it's going to be really hard to get your money out of it. You're probably better off just bringing some Black Knights to do a little cycle charging and spend more money on more Graveguard with great weapons and things that are going to really trouble the Dwarfs. Until the next time, this is the Magnus. If you enjoyed the video, please hit like, please hit subscribe. We'll see you on the ladder.